effective communication, and we're going to talk about a process for effective communication. And the cool thing about this process is this can work whether Harrison and I are having a dialogue, just the two of us, whether you are talking to all of your employees, whether you are communicating with your customers, your board of directors, your potential investors, your banker, your babysitter, whatever. Okay, so whether this is an interpersonal communication situation or an internal situation where you're talking to your employees, or external that you're talking to your customers, this process will work for you regardless of what the opportunity is. And so what I'd like for you to do is to kind of think about, all right, well, where are most of my issues? I loved that. We don't have problems. I'm going to quote George from now on. Nobody has problems anymore. We just have issues that we have to deal with. So think about, what are some of the communication challenges or issues that you have? Is it with the employees? Is it with your family? Is it with your customers? And as we talk this afternoon, use that lens when you hear the information, because then I think it's going to be most helpful to you. Again, knowing that you can also use this tonight at dinner to get your children to do their homework. Okay, so we'll help with that as well. As you know, the Family Business Institute has kind of designed these to be two-part series. So we'll talk tonight, and then I will come back in a couple of months, and so we're going to give you homework. The idea is for, hopefully, in those 60 days, for you to have an opportunity to try some of these strategies. And the hope is that when you come back and we regroup, I'll come back and then you can share, hey, I tried this and it worked great, or I tried this and you're crazy, or whatever, or I tried this and it sort of worked, maybe how could I do better? And so that's kind of the vision for this. So I wanted to kind of lay the groundwork so we can go ahead and get started. All right, so before I even start with the process, we need to start with the goal. Anytime you are communicating, that's the first thing you want to think of. Again, if it really is tonight at dinner, you want your kids to do their homework, you need to be clear that that is your goal for the conversation. If you want your customers to buy more product, then that's the goal for the conversation. If you want your employees to actually be on time, then that's the goal for the conversation. So regardless of what you are doing from a communication perspective, if we don't know that ahead of time, we're not going to be successful. And it's amazing how many folks just sort of wing it when it comes to communication. Oh, I'll just go into the staff meeting and start talking and it'll all be good, without actually having a concrete goal in mind for that communication. So think about what you want to accomplish, and then we're going to use these strategies in order to accomplish it. All right, so six steps in our process for effective communication. And I'm going to list them out here, and then we're going to go through them one by one and talk about how to do each thing effectively. And then, if we have time, we're also going to talk about persuasion and some of the things that we can do to be really more effective persuasive communicators. And so that's kind of our little bonus section, should we have time to go ahead and do that. The reason that I love to put this list in order ahead of time is to show why Jane and her successful company do such a beautiful job, because this is not easy. You will find that most people go, oh yeah, I can do communication, I can do marketing for you, I can do PR for you. And then it doesn't work, and then we have to hire Jane.
Or you.
Or me. And so this is not an easy process. And I'm not saying that to alarm you. I'm just saying that we need to be thoughtful and strategic when we communicate, because it's not an easy process. These 6 steps, be received, get the audience's attention, be understood, be believed, be remembered, and be acted upon, have to be done in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And as we talk, you will find out that there are ways to go astray in each of these 6 steps, which is why this is a little bit of a challenging process, and something that can be done absolutely beautifully and effectively every time, but it's not something that you can go, oh yeah, cool, I'm good. We have to make sure that we do follow the steps, and we have to make sure we follow them in order. So we're going to go from received to acted upon. And again, the best communication takes all 6 of these steps into account, and also make sure that we do it in chronological order. All right, so be received. Before your communication will do what you want it to do, you have to make sure the message gets received, correct? If they don't get it, we're not going to be effective. And so again, from an interpersonal perspective, we'll use Harrison again, my new friend. He's going to be sad he sat in the front row because I'm going to use him as an experiment, or maybe experiment, an example first, maybe an experiment. So we're having an internal dialogue, and I want to talk to him about something, yet he's on his phone. Well, if I continue to talk to him while he's playing with his phone, there's a possibility the message might not get received. If people are not looking at you, there's a possibility the message might not be received. If your customers do not ever read the newspaper, and that is what you're relying on to communicate with them, the message might not get received. And so getting it to them initially is something that we need to start with. All right, so first of all, we want to talk about knowing how your audience typically gets information. You know, is your audience, if your employees, do they typically get information from the bulletin board? Do they typically get it from paycheck stuffers? Do you email them? If it's your customers, do they use their mobile phones to get information? Do they use Facebook, Twitter, websites? So you want to do a little bit of asking who the folks that you want to talk to, how do they typically get information? Because again, if you're obsessed with radio, and the people that you want to talk to don't even turn it on in the car, which is typically our best place where we consume radio, nor do they have one at home that they can, you know, when they're working in the garage, plug in and listen to, then clearly our message isn't going to be received. So you want to look at what the channels are they typically use, but even more important is ask them how they want to receive information. And I put ask there because it's so silly that a lot of times we don't ask. I deal with reporters all the time, and one of the first questions I ask them is, how do you want me to contact you? Some of them say, email me, I never want to talk to you. Doesn't hurt my feelings, it's totally okay. Frankly, that's kind of the way I prefer to talk to people. No. So sometimes they'll say, email me, that's what I want. And I have some say, don't ever email me, I haven't cleaned out my inbox in 5 years, and I'm just not going to ever respond, I need you to call me. I have some reporters that I communicate with via social media. There are some people that I only tweet. That's how I get a hold of them. There are some people that I stalk on Facebook. There are, you know, some folks that I communicate via text message. So ask the folks that you want to talk to, how do they want to be talked to? And, you know, is the bulletin board in your staff room a really great way? Or do they never look at it? Is emailing a good way? Do you want to do an electronic newsletter? Do they open the emails that they send you? Because people will typically have these preferred methods of communication, and they will happily share those with you. So figure out how they want to get the information. So 2 keys as far as the reception piece is concerned. We want to use the best channel. Now, notice I didn't say the right channel, the perfect channel, because does that exist? No. Through your discussions that you're having, you're going to come up with, all right, cool. So we have the majority of our folks like email, but some people hate it, but they like the bulletin board. All right, cool. We're going to do bulletin board and email. And great, it'd be wonderful if you just could have one channel, but sometimes that doesn't work. And then you go, well, what about these 3 people that said that they don't read the bulletin board and they don't do the email? Well, sometimes we don't reach everyone. So you want to choose the best channel of communication based, again, on what your feedback is. And then you want to make sure you have the right timing. There are folks, my students, email me 10 o'clock at night all the time, 11 o'clock at night, 2 in the morning, right? You guys know, because that's when they like to be on the computer. And then when I see them at, 8 o'clock the next morning, did you get my email? Well, yeah, maybe I was on the computer till 10, but I wasn't on till 3 in the morning, I can guarantee you that. So I go, well, when did you send it? Oh, 2 hours ago, or whatever, 3 a.m. Well, no, I didn't get it yet. So you also want to think about timing when you are dealing with social media. Folks love to consume social media Monday mornings. People like to do that before they actually do the work that they're doing for you. I'm sorry, but that's what the research shows. So figure out what the best timing is going to be. Is, sharing information before everybody goes off for the weekend on Friday afternoon going to be the way to do it? Or typically that's going to be a lost time, right? Because their brain is not on you anymore. That's on what they're doing for the weekend. So Friday afternoon, unless your folks have told me Friday afternoon, is typically not going to be a good idea. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are when most folks are most focused on their work, whatever it is, and so that tends to be good times to communicate with folks. And so think about the timing piece of it. And maybe you should communicate with everybody in the wee hours of the morning, so when they get up, say you're a night owl, then they do get that information first thing in the morning. So the timing piece is important as well. So we want to choose the best communication channel, have the right timing, so they can actually receive the message. So once they receive the message, we got to get their attention.